Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Life to the Full call tonight. So I'm excited tonight because we are going to start thinking and dreaming about 2020. What is totally crazy for me right now is that 2020 is not only a new year, but it is a new decade. If you have not realized that yet, just let it sink in for a moment. A new decade. So like, what was I doing a decade ago? Like, what was I like? That's just crazy to think of. So like decade challenge. Okay, cool. But like, this is literally a new decade. So anyway, so we want to step into 2020, into this new year, into this decade, like strong and intentionally, and just thinking about like, what do we want to get out of it? So many people start off the year thinking about their New Year's resolutions, how they think they can power through and accomplish them, or maybe feeling discouraged, thinking like, I could never hit those goals, or I can never get this way, or what am I willing to give up to do that? And something that really I learned this past year, so for 2019, it was the first time I ever picked a word for the year, and it gave me such focus and helped me be so intentional towards my everyday choices. And that's why I think it is something super worthwhile, even more so than like a New Year's resolution, in my opinion. So we're going to talk a little bit about tonight about like why choose a word, how the heck do you go about choosing a word for the year, and just kind of some other things like that. I'll also share my word with you. Alexis can share hers, and if anybody else wants to share, then they can, and if not, that's totally fine. But we want to help you guys just start thinking about how can I walk through my life intentionally, especially starting in this new year, this new decade. So a little bit about why we pick a word, why I think it's so beneficial, and why it was so beneficial for me is it was almost like a filter to put things through. That when I'm going to make a decision for my day or a decision for my week or a program to start or whatever, to think, does this align with what I am aiming for this year? Does this align with the intention that I have for myself or for my family? And if it doesn't feed into that, then this is probably something I don't need in my life. I am somebody, I'm a yeser. I say yes to everything. I have a really hard time saying no. I overcommit myself. And so this is just one of those measures that can help me to say, you know what, like this in the grand scheme of things, this isn't really leading me and my family in the direction I want to go. And I can say no to that. It also helps me to say yes to the things that are really good that maybe I don't want to do, but I'm like, you know what, this is super beneficial and this is going to lead me in that good direction. It helps you make those hard choices, let them see them as worthwhile, and let you see just like the big picture of things. It also helps shift your perspective. Okay, so I would say that when we walk into the new year thinking, these are all the things I want to do and it's going to be really hard, or I don't think I can accomplish it, a lot of times we fall into patterns of looking at the things that we're not able to do, or the first day that we fall off of our diet or our supplements or our reading plan or our Bible plan or whatever it is, we get like, shoot, well, screw that, I messed up on my resolutions. But if we have a perspective shift and we start focusing on what are the things that I'm doing well, and even if I mess up on this one day, I'm still looking at this bigger picture of becoming a better person, becoming more of the person of who I want to be by focusing on this one thing. And a lot of times one word, it can be an umbrella for a lot of things, but it feels like I have just, it's really hard for me right now not to just say my word. So I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute because I keep wanting to use it as my illustration. But so just one other little example I'll give you before I tell you my word is that Jennifer Leith, she did a call talking about you're picking your word for the year. And she used this illustration talking about like a writing teacher or something who gave their students a piece of paper just like this. And it just had a black dot on it. And they gave them like kind of this as a writing prompt. And pretty much every student, all they focused on was the black dot on the paper, and that was what they wrote about. And he said, like, look, you focus so much on that black dot on that thing rather than like all of the other things around, all of the other options. And so many times we focus on what's hard, we focus on the negative. And so if we can shift our perspective to be, let me focus on the good things. Let me focus on the things that are helping me grow and to change, and the things that are pushing me towards another direction or pushing my family towards goals or towards another direction. And let me try to shift my perspective to look at that. So I'm going to tell you my word for the year, and I'm going to tell you guys kind of how you can choose one. If you have no idea, like I never picked a word, or how do you even go about that? Because last year, that's what was really hard for me. I'm like, there's so many good words out there, but what do I want to do? So something Jennifer kind of taught was, think about what you want more of in your life and think about what you want less of. Okay, so for me, I want less craziness. Okay. I want to stop feeling like drawn to just, oh my gosh, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do that. And everything is good, but how do you choose like what to say yes to and what to say no to? And because of that overwhelming feeling, I can get really sucked into the craziness, but I also can get pulled into just like, well, there's so much to do, I'm just going to do nothing. And I sit there and I scroll Facebook, or I get lost in like, well, I have to do the dishes and I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And so I just kind of stand there like unsure of what to do. So I want a little bit less of that in my life. Okay. I want to be a little more intentional. And what do I want more of? I want the everyday actions that I take to feed into who I want to be and the things I want to accomplish, the things that I feel like God has put me on this earth for, to encourage people, to empower people, to help my kids grow into the people they were made to be. So the word that I have been working with Megan a little bit and talking about things, we've been talking about like planning for the year and doing things on the front end instead of just being reactive. I am definitely known for, I can be reactive and not necessarily planning ahead. And so the word that just came to my mind when I was thinking about this and praying about this was purpose, that I want to do things on purpose and for a purpose. And I love that, not just the word, but the phrase. I want to do things on purpose and for a purpose, because it helps me think that, you know, when I'm sitting there and I get distracted by something super mundane, like let me just scroll through Facebook, or let me just sit here looking at this magazine or something because of being overwhelmed, like, am I doing this on purpose? Am I doing this intentionally, or am I just getting distracted by other things, right? And so I want to do things on purpose. So for me, having a purpose is super important. I mean, my purpose is, you know, to glorify God, and my purpose is to do good things for my family, to bring my family into a better place than we were yesterday, and to grow my kids to be decent human beings, and like all of these things, right? But how do I then take that big picture of what I want my life to look like, and how do I get there? And so for me, it was, how do I get to that purpose? By taking small, purposeful steps every day, doing things on purpose intentionally, whether it's some big, huge, life-changing decision, or whether it's just a tiny thing like calling that person that I'm thinking about, or texting someone that I'm thinking about, or sending a friend a card, or sitting down for 15 extra minutes and reading with my kids, or spending a little bit of extra time in my business, or taking an idea that I'm thinking about and really working it out with somebody and say, okay, how can we implement this? Because I think it's really going to help people with their health goals or with their business goals. And really taking everything I do and doing it on purpose for the greater purpose, right? So that's my word for the year, purpose. I think it will help me to just filter through those things and say, is this leading into my purpose, into the purpose for my team, into the purpose for my health goals or my career goals or my homeschooling goals, whatever it is, are these things intentionally, you know, another kind of similar word is intentional, like doing things intentionally, but doing it on purpose for a purpose. A phrase I say to my kids all the time is like, you know, if they do something and like maybe they bother their sibling, and I say, was that an accident or did you do it on purpose? And even my 3-year-old will come up to me, and when he does something, he'll say, I did it on purpose. And even though sometimes that can be negative, like he did something negatively on purpose, he knows, was that my intention or was it not? And I'm somebody, I don't want to get stuck in doing things that are not my intention. I don't want to just accidentally do things that mean nothing. I want to be intentional and purposeful and purpose-driven about what I'm doing each day, leading into that greater picture. So that is my word. That is sort of how you can think about it. What is something I want more in my life, and what is something I want less of in my life? It doesn't have to be a super fancy word. It doesn't have to be a super spiritual word. It can be something that is super practical. For me, that was the word that I picked. That was kind of a phrase I picked to go with it. And for you, it could be anything. So Alexis, do you want to share what your word is and kind of how you chose it?
Sure, but first I want to share what my word for 2019 is, because this is actually the first year I've ever done this, like pick a word. And at first I just wasn't sure about it, thought maybe it was kind of silly, but it really has just changed my world. So for 2019, my word was bold, is bold, because it's still 2019. And this year, I went from a silver ambassador to a senior gold ambassador. I went on 4 trips with my company, a winter retreat that I earned. I went to convention. I went to silver stars that I earned. I went to leaders retreat that I earned. My team has grown leaps and bounds. I decided to run a marathon this year, my first marathon. I just decided to and trained for it. I went skydiving this year. I have just definitely been bolder in my relationships, saying the hard things to people, with family members, with friends, and having those difficult conversations that end up being just so meaningful and things that need to be said, not having surface level relationships, being bold and saying what needs to be said. And um, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, just being bold. Oh, and even in the business, like reaching out to people and initiating those conversations. When you have a thought in your head, actually going for it, like, oh, I know that this could help someone, and not being scared, just being bold and going for it. So this year, to build on that, my word is impact. So I want to go to beyond just starting those conversations or initiating things. I'm definitely a great starter, but I want to be a finisher, and I want to encourage people in their lives. I just recently took the spiritual gifts test. I don't know if you guys have ever taken that, but you can like Google it online. And my top spiritual gift is exhortation. So that's encouragement. And I do love doing that for people, but I want to go beyond that. I don't just want to encourage somebody and give them like you can do it, buddy. Like, I want to actually have an impact on their life. Check in with them. If they're agree to something, like, you're right, I can do this. Check in with them 2 days later. Hey, did you do that thing? And I just want to have an impact, not just on my own life and my family's life, but people on my team, my friends, people at church, everywhere, in all the relationships. I just want to make an impact because that's what fills my cup, and I want to fill others.
So good. I love that so much. And yeah, it's been so cool. It's so cool to watch your progression through a year when you choose a word. So like, I'll just say to what my word was for last year was, well, for 2019 was the word breakthrough. And with that, sort of a similar feeling to even what I'm choosing this year, but breakthrough. And then the idea that consistency and discipline lead to breakthroughs. Like, I am somebody of big faith, and I always believed that God could do big things. But in that place, I sort of was sitting still thinking, well, God's just going to do it all, and I don't have to do anything, or I shouldn't do anything, because that's going to take away from what he's doing. And it was really clear to me, like, no, the breakthroughs happen when you are consistent and you do the work every day, and you grow every day, and you push yourself every day, and you help people every day. You do these things, and it leads to these breakthroughs, personally, financially, relationally, spiritually, all of those things. And so this year I decided to be more consistent in what I was doing, to be more intentional about what I was doing each day. And in the beginning of the year, I started out every day, I had a sign above my bed that said, were you consistent today? And was it worth it? And so basically it was that if the answer to the question, were you consistent today, was yes, then was it worth it, would also be yes. Because even if I had to sacrifice something to be consistent, to do what I set out to do, it was probably worth it. But if the answer was no, were you consistent today? No. The answer to was it worth it is also probably no. Like, was it worth it? Okay, what did I get to do? Maybe I sat down and watched a show, or maybe I scrolled through Facebook a little longer. Like, no, that wasn't really worth it. It's always worth it to put in that time to do things intentionally. And so in that consistency, in that discipline, I saw so many breakthroughs happen for myself and for my business. So for my business, we saw so many people rank up. Alexis double ranked, Brandy ranked a couple ranks this year, Emily ranked. Like, we saw so many silvers built. We saw so many people join their health journeys. In those beginning months of the year, we had months where we had over 70 people join, 40 people join. Like, it was incredible, okay? And even coming through the end of this year, the lowest we've had anybody join on this team is like 22, the lowest month. So, I mean, it has been an incredible year. Before this year, the highest we ever had was 13 people. So coming from like a business standpoint and a how many people can we help standpoint, that is huge. As far as like a personal growth standpoint for me, I learned so much about myself. And even my husband would say, he's like, you are the person that I always knew you were, but like, I'm seeing you just become that and step into that in a big way. So something that I had thought about for 7 years prior to joining Plexus, so 9 years ago, was doing something in fitness, but I never pulled the trigger. I never decided to do it. And in choosing that word breakthrough, in February, I went and I started the process to become a certified Les Mills body combat instructor. I got my certification in April. I got hired for my first class in July. And so now I have been teaching my own class for body combat. And now I have gotten great feedback, and they're asking me to get certified in something else so they could put me on the schedule more often. Like, that is huge. It took me over 7 years to actually do something that I was dreaming about. But I decided, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to stop being afraid to step out and ask for help and look at what can happen. I also ran the marathon with Alexis, really thanks to her, because I would not have done it if she wasn't like, I'm running marathon. But I was like, okay, like, let's do this. And that's something I never thought I would do.
Is that what I sound like?
Well, no, but that's maybe in my own head, like my little bit competitive spirit being like, wait, what? If you're doing it, I have to do it too. But also being something like that I never thought I would do. I was always going to be somebody content to like, I'll just run 4.5 marathons a year kind of thing. And then to be like, you know what? I could freaking do this, And so just doing that and coming to that breakthrough just physically and mentally, because that's a big mental game for sure. And just relationally and the relationships that you build in that way. So anyway, so that has been huge for me. Yeah, go ahead, Lex. We're going to say something.
Just because we're talking about the past year, and something I left out, probably the most important thing, because we always say, like with Plexus, it's not just, are you taking your products? Like, and the personal growth aspect of this, it just really bleeds into every single area of your life. And on that word bold, I've also become much more bold with my faith. I used to be a person that I just kept it very private, and it was like in my own head, because I don't want to offend anybody who might, have different beliefs than me. But I was also baptized this year, which is a bold display, a public display of my devotion to the Lord. And I just was bolder with sharing that. And I have shared it with friends who are now coming to church, and it's, that's what it's all about, and making that impact. So yeah, that was something I just didn't want to leave out.
Yes, no, and you're right. Probably one of the most important things. So I love that. And so that's the thing, right? Like, it changes things when we're like, you know what, how can I be more bold? Like, and not in a brash, crazy way, but a little bit like in a, like, okay, what can I do? What does this look like? Like, how can I have more breakthroughs in my life? And so, for this year to say, how can I be more purposeful? How can I be somebody filled with purpose, who helps other people find their purpose, and who takes every single day and lives it on purpose? Not just like, okay, well, I'm just stuck in the rhythm of life. No, I want to live my life on purpose. So I hope that helps you guys a little bit. What I would encourage you to do, think about those questions. What do I want more of in my life this year? And what do I want less of? And if you want to take some time, pray about it, talk to a friend about it. If you want to talk it through with one of us, we're totally willing to do that with you. Also, a way that okay, so now you've made a word, now what? How can you encourage yourself with that? Make like a picture and of you or of your family, or just like a cool background that makes you feel good, like, right? A pretty picture, and put that word on it, and put it somewhere in your house, write it around, or put it in, the front of your journal or your notebook or your Bible or whatever it is that you have with you. Make it the background on your phone. And just to help you as you start out the year, to have that filter in your mind, to put it through that filter as, for me, it will be, is this purposeful? Is what I'm doing, am I doing this on purpose today? And that doesn't mean I can never rest. Am I doing this on purpose? Today, I am going to be purposeful in resting because my body needs that. Like, that is okay too. So this doesn't mean that it's just go, go, go and you can never sit down. This means that every single decision I make and think I'm going to do is leading into something bigger. So for Alexa, she can think, is what I'm doing, what kind of impact is this going to have on someone? Is it going to be a positive impact, or is it going to be a negative impact? And that is going to shape her thoughts. It's going to shape the things that she says to people. So one other thing that I just encourage you guys is that there is power in your words. There is power in your thoughts, but there is power in the things that you say. The Bible says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And the words that you choose have power over your life, and they have the opportunity to speak things in your life and in your world into life, or put to death things that need to be put to death. And so what are the things in your life that maybe need to be put to death, and you are not using the words and making the decisions to put those things to death, and you're letting them still sit there and take you captive, right? Or what are the things in your world and in your situation right now that are meant to be called to life. The person in you that you want to be, the mom that you've always been, or the wife, or the friend, or the sister, or, you know, or the brother, or the father, or whatever it is that you know that you are, but you are getting so pulled down by the chaos and the overwhelm of life that you're not speaking truth into those areas, saying, you know, I am chosen, I am worthwhile, I'm a good mom, I'm a good dad. You know, yes, I have had a bad day, but I am a good mother, right? My heart is there. And so knowing those things and speaking truth into your own situation has power. It has power in your kids' life. My kids, I have kids that are a little bit older. And so I want to walk them through this year. You know, what's a word that you want to focus on? What is something that you want to work on or to think about through your days that you think is going to help you just feel better and affect yourself positively? Because I want to speak truth into them, into who they are, and I want to breathe life into the places that are meant to breathe life and put to death the things that are not needed and that are holding them captive. So I hope that this does that for you guys. It is not weird and crazy to pick a word, which is kind of what I thought in the beginning, but it is empowering and it helps you hone in. If you're somebody like me that is going a mile a minute and has a zillion things going on in your head, it helps you hone in on what is really important this year. Because guess what? This year is going to go by fast. And before you know it, you will blink and it is going to be 2021. And so what do you want to do this year? Okay, that when you look back on 2020, that you say, you know what? I made 100 steps towards this direction, or I made one step towards a direction that had a positive impact on myself and my family and the people around me. Okay. So whatever that word is for you, I want you to let us know. You can message us and tell us, or you can post in the comment about the team call and with that graphic, one word for the year. And we will post this video when it uploads and in that same thing. And let's just make that our thread about this year and what it is going to look like for us. Let's just call that out and let's hold each other accountable to say like, hey, are you living a purposeful life this week, Allie? Is what you're doing, are you doing things on purpose? Like, Lex, what kind of impact do you think that you're making? So I just want to encourage you guys with that. And I hope that you feel encouraged. I hope that you feel blessed by it. I hope that you know that we are caring about you and we're praying for you no matter what you're going through. And so if you are walking through something that is difficult, I want you to know that we're here for it. And so please let us know so we can help you, so that we can pray for you, so you can let us know if there's other ways that we can help you. But we're here to see you live out the life that you always wanted, because it is possible. And you don't have to go another day feeling like, one, I'm doing this alone, or two, all of those things that I thought could happen will never actually happen. I want to just put to death those lies right now and say that we are here for you and we believe that the things that you dream about are possible. So thank you guys so much for jumping in on tonight, for listening in later. We are ready for an amazing Christmas, an amazing New Year, and to just get ready for this new 2020 and this next decade. So thanks, guys. Have a great night.